you are listening to or watching the Let's Talk Valdosta podcast for the city of Valdosta. I'm Shara, and today we have Joe Gangler. Joe, what is your title?
I am the environmental manager for the city of Valdosta.
And what does that mean?
It means I manage the environment. Our division is a subdivision of the utilities department, and we're a multidisciplinary division. We handle the industrial pretreatment program for the city, watershed protection, cross-connection control. We have a centralized laboratory that manages the MPDES permits for our 2 wastewater plants.
What does that mean?
And I handle fog. I handle a little bit of everything. We joke that we're the special ninjas for the utilities department. It doesn't necessarily fall into this little part for utilities. We come in and we handle it. We joke that if we're doing our job, nobody knows we're doing it.
Oh, well, that's a good problem to have, I guess.
It is. I mean, the problem is nobody knows we're doing our job half the time, and
Right.
it's vital to the infrastructure. But again, if we're doing our job, that means that the citizens are protected, the infrastructure is protected, and that's good enough for me.
Right. And Joe, I guess we're considered millennials, and so there's some things that we were kind of taught growing up when it came to things of, I'll let you explain the fog scenario.
Yeah, so our department handles our fog program, which is a subdivision of the industrial pretreatment program, and where it's the program's kind of a multifaceted program. We have a part that is based on working with commercial entities, restaurants, food service, institutions like the hospitals that prepare large amounts of food because they discharge grease into this collection system by washing their equipment and things like that. But at their level, they have what we call pre-treatment systems. They have grease traps, grease interceptors, abatement systems, automatic systems. So under our program, they're more monitored. We do inspections. We work with them. And we have a good rapport with that. So that's something that we don't go a lot into, obviously, with the citizens. But the other part of our program is education. And we don't require grease traps to be put at every house. So what we do at this level, and this is where it's important for us to reach out, talk to the citizens, is that we need them to be a participant in preventing grease blockages. So obviously fog is what we call it, and it stands for fats, oils, and grease. There's a little bit more into it, but it's a catchier thing than saying fog and because there's a lot of things that people can put down the drain that clogs it. But we focus on fats, oils, and grease, and the last few years, we've also been focusing a lot more on rags, what we call rags, and those are the flushable wipes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they are a huge problem. And one of the problems is that when you grab a package of wipes, they say flushable on there. They're not technically lying. Anything is flushable. I'm still trying to find my roadblock action figure from 1987 because he was flushable technically. But he wasn't supposed to be flushed.
Right.
And what happens with these flushable wipes is that they are coming out with newer versions, but they basically have a nylon mesh inside of them. That gives them that cottony feeling. They put the flocking on there that makes them soft and wonderful for wiping, diaper rash and other things. And what happens is when you get them into the sewer system, that flocking comes off and you're left with this nylon netting. And what obviously to the person, they're like, it's flushable, it's down the drain, it's somebody else's problem. Well, it becomes our problem.
Right.
And when it gets into our lift stations or our pump stations, it does what we call ragging. It basically mixes with all the other wipes and the trash and the debris, and it clogs up the pumps, which again, at your house, you're like, that's 2 miles down the road. Well, that either causes a sanitary overflow because we have a backup because we can't pump the station,
right,
or the pumps tear up. When the pumps tear up, that's a cost that we have to reflect and put down the line, which we don't want to have to, up a rate to pay for these pumps. But we also have to tell people don't flush the wipes down there, which
right,
causes the problem.
Well, what is and just so the common person can understand, what is the pump necessarily? What's the purpose of the pump and that function?
Okay, so our sewer system is what's called a gravity sewer system. The old adage, Dookie rolls downhill. That's what it is. It's the easiest way to explain it. It goes our system. It starts from your house and it goes downhill, and it gets to a point where it's low enough that we take a station and we pump it back up, and then it goes back down again. And that's a very, very simplified version of it, but that's how we do it. Pump it up, goes down, pump it back up, and then occasionally it'll be pushed under pressure to certain other locations. But that's what it is. It's a gravity system. The system, except for small portions, is never under complete pressure. So we rely on gravity to take it. So what happens is with these rags, if the pumps aren't working, they can't push it to the next stage.
Right.
If the rags don't make it to the station, we get back into our fog part. Fog is, or fats, oils, and grease, is polar. It likes to grab everything. It coats pipes. It coats equipment. It rots. It can actually rots the seals. It can change its chemicals a little bit, become acidic or alkaline, and actually eat pipes. And what happens when we mix it with a rag? The rag grabs it and says, "Oh, hey, let me take this grease with me and get somewhere else and stick." And
right.
I'm just going to keep adding more grease to it.
It's pretty serious.
It is. It's the EPA did a study years ago, and I believe, don't quote me on the exact number, but 75% of sanitary sewer overflows were due to grease blockages. And the city of Valdosta, when I started with the fog program 10 years ago, goodness gracious, most of our sanitary overflows were due to grease blockages. And we're going to keep it real. We're Southern. We like our grease. And a lot of people, I grew up in the country. We grew up on septic tanks. When we fried, because this is what we're going to talk about. People, what do you do with the grease?
Right.
Well, if we fried bacon grease, we recycled it.
Right.
I mean, that's
right.
we're using
Fish
that
grease,
later.
Chicken grease.
Yeah.
Just recycle all of it.
But a lot of people don't think about that, and so they take the grease and they put it in the sink and they turn the hot water on, and it disappears. Yeah, a little bit of. I don't know if it's name brand soap. There's a specific one that they like to use that has the duck on it. And it worked. It helps the ducks. I mean, when they have an oil spill, it cleaned the ducks perfectly. It was the problem is when it comes to the types of fats, oils, and grease that we deal with, it breaks it up. But the problem is that it just goes down the line and then it recoagulates. It'll break the chemical bond for a little while, and then it doesn't permanently break the bond. Okay. So people will use hot water. People will use. So I said name brand.
I said it too.
Oh, okay, there. And it'll get down the line, and it doesn't become your problem because you can get it off of your line. It becomes everybody's problem,
right? Because
it enters into the collection system, the sewer system, and it recongeals, and then it becomes a blockage. And a little bit of grease, hey, sorry, you're like, oh, I don't have time for this. I'm a little bit down the drain. It's not going to be. Yeah, that little bit of bacon grease ain't going to cause you a problem. It's that everybody in the neighborhood decided we were going to have a breakfast brunch buffet today, and now it just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up. And
it's actually worse the second time around. It seems like once it congeals back together.
It does, and because it's polar, so any grease that passes over it, it's going to grab. It's like I don't know if you ever had to go to one of those boring field trips where they show you how to make candles at like an old timey place where they dip the candle and they keep dipping the candle. That's kind of what grease does. You dip it and it's a little bit of grease. Dip it and a little bit more grease, and that's what ends up happening. So over time, it can take quite a bit of time to build a blockage.
And expensive too.
And expensive.
Yeah, and I only say it from the PIO standpoint because a lot of times we'll get calls about it, and we're like, there's certain things that the city can help with, and there's certain stuff that the city can't do for liability reasons.
Yes.
What are some common myths you think with that besides the hot water down the drain with the grease?
Well, the hot water is a big thing. The putting dish soap behind it, any kind of chemical. There's really, since we can say a name brand, any of those things that they bust clogs, and then they just push them down the drain. A weird myth or misconception that we've had in the last few years I didn't think was real. The toilet is not a separate sewer system. Do not pour it in the toilet. I
just found out that people do that, and that's so crazy to me. I never thought to do that.
we've got people who believe that they'll. I had a lady not too long ago. She said, "Yeah, I had a fish fry and I didn't know what to do with the grease." And I said, "Well, could you put it back in the container?" "Well, I didn't have a funnel." "Well, I just poured it in the toilet because that's a separate sewer." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "So does your plumber love you?" "Yeah, we had a really big blockage at my house. It cost a lot of money to fix that line," and so there's a lot of misconception about what you can do with it. There's I'm trying to think of a good way of saying it. People just don't think about it because again it's out of sight, out of mind. Right. Once you can put it down the drain, and
we've been kind of conditioned to do it too.
Yeah, exactly. You're raised a certain way. Just pour it down the drain. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And for some places it wasn't. But when you start getting into as Valdosta has grown, and our infrastructure is having to be upgraded, and it takes time, it takes money. Places that 20 years ago were a small neighborhood, you've got 12 neighborhoods around there now sharing the same sewer system, or a neighborhood, and now here's a big apartment complex, and so putting that many people together in a small area and they're doing the same things. Right.
Well, what are some things that people can do to get rid of their grease? Because I know that's something I was never taught, so I would love to hear that part.
Well, the city runs a program. We have it: cool it, can it, trash it. That's the simplest way. Is take your grease and just if it's like frying pan grease, you let it congeal and it'll harden up. You can take scrapers, take something, scrape it, put it in a can, put it in the trash. Frying oil does not set up. There are products that they make now. I believe one of them is called Fry Away that you can buy at local big box stores. And if you're using a little bit of cooking oil, vegetable oil, which again doesn't set up, you can add that to it and it turns it into a jelly block, I guess is the best way of putting it. If you're using a lot of cooking oil, like doing a fish fry, good old southern fish fry,
sounds really good right now. On a Friday.
There it is. You can save the container. Put it back into the container. I don't know if you're cheap like me. I'll say frugal.
Frugal.
I can use that grease 2 or 3 times before it breaks down completely. So I'm going to filter it, put it right back in there. I'm going to save it for the next time that I do it. So if you're using a large amount of oil, I just would say you put it back in there, filter it. You get a couple burns out of a fish fry oil if you save it right. And that's a big thing, but take it and put it in the trash. That's the big thing. Keeping it out of the sewer system is the most important thing. Not trashing everything that you can, getting your solid waste off of there. Minimize what you put down the drain. That's what helps the collection system, and it helps your own plumbing.
Right.
If you got a long line out to the city sewer, you're going to clog up before we do, in some cases. So that's a big thing for us. And don't flush wipes. I'm just going to say again, don't flush wipes. I don't care if they say they're flushable. Don't flush them.
But Joe, how can people learn more about the FOG program and more about how to prevent these incidents from happening?
Well, the City of Valdosta, we have a FOG site on the City of Valdosta website through the Environmental Management Division. Has some information for people, and they can contact our office. My FOG coordinator is named Tim Alexander, and they can reach out to Tim.
Shout out Tim.
Yeah, get better, Tim. He's got the crud today. But they can reach out to Tim, and we have resources available, educational material, and we're happy to provide that for anybody to learn a little bit more about it, and it helps us. One thing I like to stress to everybody in the city is we bat around the term customer quite a bit, and when it comes to water and sewer, I prefer the term stakeholder because everybody is vested in this system.
We're all
working.
responsible for it.
It's very important that everybody understands that, and it's all better to protect the waterways, the collection system, everything that we have, and that's where we are.
All right. Well, Joe, I've always enjoyed talking to you, and we'll have more information about the FOG program and ways that you can help and prevent your system from going down and having that big plumbing bill. I hear a lot of nightmares about that. But thank you, Joe, again for all that you do, and we appreciate you taking your time out of the day to talk to us about the FOG program.
Appreciate you having us in here. Appreciate it much.
And that is all for our Let's Talk Valdosta podcast. Thank you for joining us.